Okay, it's been a while since I've gotten to do an unboxing, and I'm really excited to see what this thing actually looks like. Okay. Okay, first things first, that is a really big motherboard. A second, look at that! 128 gigabytes of DDR2. So this is a 8 gigabyte DDR2 DIMM right here. They also got some extras that I'll get out before I forget about them. Much like a current high-end motherboard, they got all the features like the little LED display there for showing the postcode. And you can see, wow, that's a lot of RAM. As well as our dual Xeons right there on these little custom coolers. Okay, in lieu of being able to buy an actual EATX case because I'm poor, I'm just going to be setting this on the silicone mat. That should be fine. I just stabbed myself. And I have a few other parts that I'm going to use to at least see if this thing boots right now. I'm really hoping that this 650 watt power supply is enough for both CPUs. I have to admit I'm not all too sure right now. But it shouldn't be too difficult to get this set up. And then this motherboard has something really weird. I'll try to show it better. You can see here on either side of the 24 pin, there's actually these two connectors, and this is obviously the first time I've actually looked at this motherboard, but what I believe is that these are EPS 12 volt 4 pins. So basically what you'd plug into a CPU like right here, but it's split. I don't know why that's the case, but I do have one on my power supply that's split. So I'm going to see if that hooks up and if it's wide enough, which that one did go in. And that one did go in. Okay, it's a little weird, but that's fine. My power supply only has a single EPS 12 volts, so I had to actually go ahead and buy an adapter to go from a couple of PCIe connectors, like what you'd plug into your graphics card. And then I'm bringing that into another EPS 12 volt for what I assume to be the other CPU, which is right here. And then that just leaves us with accessories, another GPU connector for our, it's a little too close, our GTX 770. This is way too new, but it kind of matches well with the performance of having two of these CPUs, I hope. So we'll see if it will work in Windows Vista. That's all I really care about right now. And it should just be going in that slot right there. I might have to move the motherboard forward just a little bit more. There we go. This would be much better if I had a case, but I don't. So I'm just going to stuff a piece of Velcro in there to kind of hold the GPU up better. I think that's probably the best I'm going to get. So I'll go with that. It's reasonably straight. Something that has been making me a little bit concerned is that I have this cable for the graphics card, but this isn't actually for this power supply, so I figure I should check it really quick. It's going to spoil the first boot, but I don't really care. I just need to figure out how to turn this thing on. So I'm going to plug the power supply into the wall and hope nothing goes catastrophically wrong. Okay, it's off. So, oh, jeez. It turned on. Oh. It turned on for a second. Oh, it's on. I'm going to quickly check the PCIe cable if I can. 12 volt, 12 volt, 12 volt. You see it back over there. Okay. I think it's right. 0 volt, 0 volt. And that one. Okay, I think it's fine. So I'm going to shut that down. Okay. Now I can hook it up to the monitor. Okay, I have everything hooked up now properly. I plugged in HDMI, so I'm hoping it works. I'm going to turn on the power supply again. And we're posting. Is that on the screen? The postcode thing right there. Wow, it's loud. Okay. I can feel the air from the CPUs like 3 feet away. Oh. Okay. Oh no. We are counting the RAM right now. It just came on. It literally just came on. We just hit 1 gigabyte. We have 127 to go. Oh no. Well, this is a very good sign. I don't know if it will let me go into the setup while it's doing that. I assume not. So I guess I'm gonna have to wait and never reboot this computer because this is terrible. Okay, so we're just finally about to hit our full 128 gigabytes of RAM. It's been well over 30 minutes, probably longer. I don't know if I need to start mashing the key to get into setup, but I'm going to start doing that now because it's going to be done in just a couple of seconds. That is the longest post I have ever experienced in my life. There it is. Oh no. Okay. Error. Check date and time. Okay. F2 to setup. Please take me to the setup. Oh no. Oh, that's really, really sad. But it doesn't look like it's doing anything. Okay, I think I figured out the problem, and it is not at all what I thought it was. I thought the BIOS was freezing before it could get to the setup, so I took out a bunch of the RAM. I only have 8 gigabytes and all those empty memory slots. I tried 16 gigabytes, I tried taking the CMOS battery out, I wiped the CMOS properly. I don't think it was any of those things. I think the BIOS just doesn't like USB keyboards, so I grabbed an old grody Microsoft Natural keyboard that uses PS2, and it worked perfectly fine. So that means I'm in the setup now, and I might try putting some of the RAM back in soon. But I can start looking through here at least. So what I'm going to do for now is just not test the extended memory since I already did the test. It seemed like it worked fine. And then I'll put in all the rest of the RAM, and I really hope that works. Oh, okay. Hey, that fixed it. Okay. That is significantly more tolerable. Okay. It sees the USB. Okay, we're finally booted. I got a little 500 gigabyte SSD in the corner there. I even got a mouse so I can actually move the cursor. And yeah, hopefully this will go well. Just a very, oh, there it is. Very normal Windows Vista installation right here. I ended up making this very streamlined air vent to help cool the RAM. I can feel the air coming out of it is significantly warmer, so I think it's doing something. But I don't really want to keep it like this, so I'll have to figure out some other way to cool the RAM. And it wants a product key, but of course I'm not actually going to do that. I'm just going to be selecting the version of Windows that I want. Of course that's going to be Windows Vista Ultimate. I accept. I read the entire thing. And it does look like it can see the SSD, which is a very good sign. I'm just going to get rid of these partitions. And we do have a very unfortunate problem here that is going to set me back like probably another 20 minutes. This is a GPT disk, not a MDR disk. The setup doesn't like that, and I have to fix it now. I should just be able to do it from here using disk part. This keyboard doesn't seem very good though. So it's a little bit difficult to type because it's repeating every other key. Select disk 0, which is my SSD. I'm going to clean, convert MDR if it needs to be, which I typed wrong. Okay, it's already not GPT, so I can verify that here. And it's no longer a GPT disk. So now I can give up and restart the entire process again. That really sucks. Okay, now that I got that out of the way, hopefully I can install Windows, maybe? It definitely looks like it's installing, so that's a good sign. We're booting. We're booting. Alright, and somehow, despite all the odds, it looks like it's actually working. So I'm going to go ahead and set up Windows really, really quick. And now the very last stretch is just waiting for the desktop to show up after it does this. And finally, somehow, after all that, we're actually booted. You can see the Xeon E5430, 128 gigabytes of RAM. I wonder what that looks like in the task manager. Right there. You can see our 8 cores, 6.46 gigabytes of memory. It's not even showing anything here. There we go. There we go. I have one little thing right there. I'm using one stick of RAM right now. Wow. That's amazing. So I guess the next thing is just to get some drivers and software on here so I can actually use it, because it's still very low resolution right now. Okay, the resolution is much higher now that I have the graphics driver. Let's see if I can enable Aero. I have the option. Yeah, look at that. Beautiful. Okay, and I'm gonna kind of just pretend that 3 months hasn't passed since the last clip that you just watched. I've been a little bit busy. Um, since that thing was really, really loud, I have made a few changes. You can see here our RAM now has these little 3D printed fans on it, and it's keeping it very, very nice and cool. I stole these off something that some guy made for a super micro motherboard. I'll try to find the link. I want to credit him properly. I just can't remember where exactly I found this right now. It's on the screen. And yeah, I also got some different fans for the CPU right there. I might be able to show. Oh, just about. Yeah. They're much quieter. I think it looks pretty decent. You can actually kind of use this for a desktop now. And just for the sake of making things even easier, let's just use a lower screen resolution right here. You should be able to see it pretty decently. So the big question now is, what do you actually do with 128 gigabytes of RAM in a 15-year-old outdated dual Xeon server platform? That's a really good question. I don't exactly know the answer, but I took a little bit of time to try to experiment and see what I could do with it. And so one of the things that I actually thought would be kind of interesting to try is, given that we have so much RAM, you can see right there we're still only using about 6 gigabytes. I figured a RAM disk was kind of an obvious first step. So I found this program right here, Soft Perfect RAM disk, and you can just make a RAM disk by typing in the amount that you want to use. So if I want to use 60 gigabytes, what's that? 65,536 maybe. And we'll just mount it to like the D drive, for example. Format as NTFS right out of the gate. And I think if we do that, it's actually going to start going through the process of freezing the whole system, so it must be doing something. You can see right there, our RAM usage has just exploded to a whole 70 gigabytes as it begins to mount this RAM disk. If we check here in my computer, we have a completely empty local disk right there. So this is now a 64 gigabyte RAM disk. And if you owned this in 2007, you probably had one of the fastest storage devices money could buy at the time. I don't exactly know what you're going to do at this point with a Windows Vista RAM disk. I could try copying a file to it. I'm copying a Windows ISO at 25 megabytes per second. That's not very exciting, but maybe if I try to copy it, I'll get something interesting. So maybe now that we're done, we can copy and paste it. And, hey, that's pretty fast. It was about 600 megabytes per second. Let's just do that again. We're going at over half a gigabyte a second. That doesn't seem like really that remarkable for a RAM drive, though. I would have expected several times faster. Maybe this is a complete waste. At 600, I'm multiplying Fedora installation disks faster than probably anybody else is doing right now, though, which makes me very happy. To be fair, there may also be a CPU bottleneck. You can see that I am maxing out, it looks like, at least one thread as I'm doing that. I'm having a hard time figuring out what other practical applications this system can have because it's so stupid. Okay, so I got a little bit of extra software here on a USB that might be a little bit more useful for messing around with whatever we can do with our massive amount of memory, which I'm just going to copy over to my desktop right here. The first of which is probably pretty obvious. CrystalDiskMark. Hopefully see that RAM disk. if it even opens. There we go. Okay. So, we're going to put this on our RAM disk. I'll just leave everything default right now and try to run the test. I'll see what it looks like. I think that's done, and they're really weird results. So as you can imagine, the sequential speeds were relatively not very good. I think a lot of NVMe SSDs are significantly faster than this. And the random reads and writes were actually all pretty good, nearly 200 megabytes per second. What I wasn't expecting is the sequential writes to be way, way, way faster. That's a little counterintuitive. I don't honestly know why that is. Maybe that is to be expected. But very interesting results nonetheless. It's definitely very usable storage, and I have 128 gigs of it, so I'm not going to complain. So I do actually have one other piece of software that I'd like to quickly try out. I think, if I read the documentation properly, I need to install this first so I can make it work. But let's start opening this up. Just because I want to see if I can find something that will actually show off 128 gigs of RAM being used, maybe. I don't entirely know how this program works. I'm going to need to read it for just a second. So, yeah, what this program does is it just calculates pi. Benchmark pi all in RAM. I don't know if I need to do anything other than running that. Let's do multi-thread because I have a perfectly fine amount of cores. So there's different amounts of pi that we can calculate, and this is what makes it really interesting because you can see I have the option to go up to what's that, 25 billion digits of pi for 116 gigabytes of RAM, which I think with my 7 gigabytes I'm using right now should hopefully be fine. I'm just gonna run that, and we're gonna start allocating memory. So you can see right there, we're very slowly allocating RAM. And this is more just something that I imagine is going to be like watching paint dry. You're just going to very slowly see the RAM usage start to go up. And then hopefully my CPUs will start going crazy as it calculates 25 billion digits of pi. I don't know how long that's going to take, and I might not let the whole test run. I more just want to see over 100 gigabytes in Task Manager, I think. Oh, look at that. I've never seen that in my life. We're up to 120 gigabytes. Oh, no. There we go. 124 out of 128 gigabytes currently being used. My CPUs have all been pinned to 100%. And I have no clue how long that's supposed to take. But we are calculating digits of pi. A lot of digits of pi. So yeah, this is probably not going to finish anytime soon. I'm not going to let it finish. I just wanted something that could reasonably easily get me to that 128 gigabytes of memory right there. So yeah, that's basically it. Do I recommend that you do this? Absolutely not. If you can think of anything better that's actually worth trying to do on this computer, please let me know, because I just can't see it. But I hope it was at least somewhat entertaining. It's definitely entertaining owning it. You can see there it is, chugging away. So yeah, let me know if you thought this was anything useful that you'd ever want to see again. I apologize for wasting your time on it. Just complain down in the comments. Thank you very much for watching.